Bibliophiles, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and hit the notification bell to stay tuned in on my weekly uploads. So this video is Illuminae to be continued. If you have not watched my previous video already, I would recommend you watch that one first because it kind of gives background onto what the book is about, and this video is going more in depth about the book and mostly just me ranting about things that I like about it. So, as it should be kind of evident from how I just described this video, but this video does contain spoilers for the book, so if you haven't read the book yet and don't want it to be spoiled, stop watching right now and just go watch my other video, read the book, and then come back and watch the video. So there's several things that I'd like to talk about in this video. I kind of ranted about the beauty of the artwork and the cover and all that good stuff in my last video, but I would like to continue talking about it in this one. So I'm going to be going a little bit more in depth onto some of the artwork in the book because, as I said, there will be spoilers in this video and I'm going to be showing you up close shots of the inside of the book. So if you do not want to see that, stop watching this video now and go read the book for yourself. So I have highlighted, well, not highlighted, but I have marked with sticky notes some of the things that I wanted to talk about in this. So artwork in the book, I have selected more than three different pages. So the first one is this, and I just think it's really unique how the text is going all around the page, and honestly the first time I read it I was kind of confused as to the order that you read it in, but I think that it's a brilliant way of telling the story. Also, this next page, how it has some of the illustrations. This is part of the fight scene against the Lincoln, and it's kind of showing you like, oh, these people exploded and then this one made someone else explode. The next one that I wanted to point out was this. Now this is the most confusing thing ever to read, but it's really pretty to look at, and honestly if I could find a way to make this into my phone background I definitely would. I mean, there's nothing really monumental about the quotes on this page except for the fact that I think it kind of highlights how scattered everyone's thoughts are because they're in the middle of a fight and everything's kind of confusing and it's hard, you gotta jump around, and I would imagine that that's what being in a space battle is like. Obviously I've never been in a space battle so I wouldn't know, but I have a good feeling that this is kind of supposed to represent that. And then again there's more of this flowing text going across the page. I almost said the screen then. And then I like this one, where instead of the text being across the entire page, it's kind of bouncing along. And the part of this book is when Katie is working to try and repair the ship, but she has to go from the outside, and it's kind of illustrating how she's like bouncing from part to part on the outer edge of the ship, which I think is really pretty. I just think this entire book is artistically beautiful, so I highly recommend that you can read it so you can see it for yourself. And okay, so then I had a quote that I wanted to show you on page 100, which I think really resonates with me. Not resonates with me, but I just think it was just like a really deep moment, as it was so, I mean, okay, 100 pages in this book is early on because this book is 599 pages long, which you can tell by the bottom there. It tells you how many pages you are out of the total. But essentially what this is saying is it's when Ezra is kind of, you know, he's just been drafted into the UTA military, which is the United Terran Authority military, if you for some reason haven't gone and watched my previous video. And he's talking to a new friend that he's just made, and his friend is saying, oh, you know, come on, let's go out and party and, you know, drown your sorrows in drinking, which is not what you should do. That's not how you should work those things out. You should talk to someone. But Ezra says that there's no drowning these sorrows, these bad boys can swim. And I honestly, I don't know, it just makes me feel emotions for the character. Like I feel really sad that Ezra's having to go through this. I don't know. This book is great. I've said that already. but it's just, I really enjoy it. And then another thing that I wanted to highlight on page 155, I don't know if any of you own this book, you can flip along with me if you have this book at home, but essentially from pages 155 through to 158 is honestly what I consider to be one of the most emotional parts of the book. Maybe because I've read it several times, so some of the other things that others might consider emotional the first time around aren't as emotional to me anymore. But it's laboratory report from a scientist who is working to study the infectious disease that has broken out in the Copernicus. The disease was called Phobos, which I would think is supposed to mean, oh, it's, you fear it. And because the disease does instill a very strong sense of fear into whoever contracts it. And it's going through, and you know, it seems normal at first, and you know, it's describing it, oh, people get the shakes and they start to want to go find other people so they can be comforted, and that's how the disease spreads, is like, oh, I'm scared, I want to go hug my relative and they're gonna help me not be scared anymore, but that's just the disease saying, ooh, I want to spread to someone else. So it's kind of scary how intelligent the disease is. I know it's fake, but it's, I don't know, I pretend that books are real life sometimes. And eventually, by the end, you kind of see the mental degradation of the person writing the lab report until the very end when, as you can see, this is representing a blood spatter on the book, that the person writing the report contracts the disease and ends up, which is what most of the people who contract the disease do end up doing. It's really crazy. I don't know, these authors are just amazing how they make you, they draw you in, and then they're like, boom, this thing happens, and it's crazy. And okay, another thing that I wanted to talk about was, they draw you in, it's crazy. I just, there's no words, just read the book, please. I really would appreciate it if you read the book. I feel like I should have marked these pages out better because there's a lot of different things that I was going to talk about. Okay, so then there is this heart email poem, this focus. To focus. Okay, don't ignore my comment. But so there's this heart poem, which is an email from Ezra to Katie, and it the reason I just like it so much is because one of the poems that's in here is Sonnet 18 by Shakespeare, and for some strange reason one day I decided to memorize that poem, but yeah, it's in the heart poem and I really liked it. So I'm in love with the artificial intelligence system in this book, which you may find concerning, seeing as the artificial intelligence also happens to be a mass murderer after he decided to make the decision to blow up all of the occupants of the Copernicus because they had contracted the disease. But Aiden, also, which stands for the Artificial Intelligence Defense Analytics Network. I refer to him as he, but technically Aiden is genderless, but I like to refer to him as he because to me Aiden is a typically male name. And I just think that his character is the most well-written character. I don't know, I got emotional when the robot artificial intelligence got emotional, and I don't know, it was just crazy to see that even though he was a robot, he was still starting to feel things, which he shouldn't have been able to do. He's also not a robot, he's kind of like this computer system. He doesn't actually have a body to move or get about or do anything. But, I mean, just his commitment to what he's doing, all he wanted to do was keep the people safe, and he knew that he needed to blow up the Copernicus, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, he's crazy, so they shut him down, and then there's this whole scene where his system is rebooting, and he's thinking to himself, you know, why aren't they listening to me? Why aren't they understanding that all I want to do is help? And so this is the scene where he's rebooting, and, you know, he's going through, he's trying to identify himself. This page figures out who he is. He's Aiden. He's slightly crazy. I know this isn't focusing. Focus. This, and I don't know. I just really, really like his character. My favorite line of his, though, is this line right here on this page. It says, "Am I not merciful?" It's when he's starting to question himself. And, okay, I realize that this is completely made up and not real, but he's questioning himself. He was programmed to just act on prompts. He wasn't programmed to question himself, he's starting to have feelings like a person. And that's why I like him so much. I don't know. He has the best character progression because he goes from these people must die to, okay, maybe what I did was kind of bad and, you know, kind of regret it, but I was trying to save the people at the same time. So he, in the end, is definitely set. You know, he's a computer. He has to protect the people. That's what he's, like, his internal design is to do. But he still questions himself sometimes. And one of the saddest parts is the fact that I have a feeling that he kind of was falling in love with Katie because he was working on such close terms with her to hack into the system to try and stop the Lincoln from attacking the ship's fleet, the fleet of ships. And I don't know, that was just really sad. And the last thing that I was going to mention, but then I realized I hadn't explained Aiden, was the fact that starting from where that heart poem was, I've lost it now because I took out the sticky note, but starting from that poem onward in the book is when Aiden started faking being Ezra. Aiden was pretending, he was emulating Ezra's talking to Katie so that he could convince Katie to transfer from the Hypatia to the Alexander because the artificial intelligence was damaged when the Lincoln attacked for the second time. And it was just really emotional, and at the end Katie does decide that, you know, oh, you know, maybe he's not all that bad, so when she finally leaves the Alexander, because the fate of the Alexander is that it gets blown up by the Lincoln, but she decides that she's going to take part of Aiden with her in her fancy iPad type thing. I think it was an iPad, but they said it's see-through. But so she keeps him with her, even though she knows that he's technically a mass murdering robot, which I think, I don't know, it's just really interesting. And I feel like you have to read this book to get a full sense of all the weight of everything that happens. I really, really suggest that you read this book. I don't know what else I could do to convince you to read this book, but I really, really want you to take consideration reading this book. It's just amazing. I'm speechless from how amazing this book is. I definitely was really looking forward to doing the review on this book. I keep throwing this book around. I'm sorry if that's distracting, but I love it. So definitely give Illuminae by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff a try if you need something to read. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like it was kind of all over the place, but that's what happens when you don't script things. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'm not going to see you, you're going to see me. I hope you're looking forward to seeing me in the next video. Bye!